Hello, anatomy students. It is almost 5 o'clock Thursday, January 27th, and I wanted to come on here really quickly to give you a heads up. So, next week we are going to be adventuring into, yes, bones. And man, when you think of anatomy, so here we are, skin, this was this week. When you think of anatomy, two things usually come up. Number one, the names of all the muscles in the body, and number two, the names of all the bones in the body. And one of the things you don't think about sometimes are all the features of bone and muscle. So next week, we are going to start with bones. We'll start with osseous tissue, which is bone tissue. Osseous means bone. And we're going to start working on what's called the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton is the head and the trunk of the body, which includes your spinal column or your vertebral column all the way down to the coccyx and the pelvic girdle. It does not include your arms and legs. So what is it that's hard about the bones? I would say that the hardest thing, number one, is learning all the bones in the skull and their special features. So there are the shapes of the bones. There are how certain bones come together and form joints. Like in the skull, you have flat bones that come together, and as we grow and develop, they form these kind of locking plates, kind of like this, that are still somewhat flexible, thank goodness, right? Those are called sutures. So some of these things you'll find in the lecture. Other things that are kind of challenging are things like special features like the foramen. There are little holes in bones that allow nerves to go through, like the mental foramen is down here in the mandible. But really, it takes time to learn all this stuff. If you're really, really good at memorizing, this is going to be easy for you. I was never really, really good at memorizing. I always had to play with it, practice it, draw it, talk about it. I'm like the world. I think I learned to be a teacher because that's how I taught myself. I helped other people learn always because if I could talk to other people about it, then I knew I understood it. Anyways, so what I did was post something called the Axial Skeleton Jumpstart for you guys. It's a PDF file of unlabeled figures of the axial skeleton. Now, sometimes we use this in class. We've used it as an assignment. I'm not giving points for this. This is for you guys. It's 23 pages of check this out. What's the name of this bone? That's the frontal bone. What's the name of this bone? What's the name of this bone? It's temporal bone, and so forth. And so what you can do is look at these figures, and you can go online. You can look in your book. You can even look in old anatomy textbooks if you have any sitting around. These names haven't changed, okay? So it's really important to know the basic names of all the bones in the skull, let's say. So over here, these little spots, in the book that this is associated with, which is what you're not using that book, but the colors mean something. You don't need to worry about that. All you have to do is be able to name every bone, every feature also. Blast. You know what? I've had the worst time with this mouse today. So I'm pointing at things like, well, let me come over here. Right here, the sutures, the two different, I'm not going to say what it is. That's actually a special feature. I want you guys to figure that out. It's pretty cool, actually. The fact that we have that there allows you to look down while you're texting. We'll talk about that another time. It's associated with a muscle. It's kind of fun. Moving on. There are other features like this little pointy thing right here, okay? So I want you to be able to look at a drawing of the skull with all the different colors, which is a really nice thing to have, but also be able to associate the same types of labels to an unlabeled skull here, a real skull, okay? So when you take your quiz, you'll be able to say, oh, this is this and that is that, like here's the nasal bone and stuff like that, okay? You should know how to spell them as well, because even though in this class, I don't know, maybe I'll make it so that you have to spell it. I can do that. Anyways, moving on, this is a huge foramen right here. It's a big hole. Guess what comes out of that? You should know these things. So I posted this for you guys to start interacting with, start playing with, start labeling. Don't wait, you guys. This is one of the hard ones. You need to get going on it. You need to practice. If you do 3 pages a day, 4 pages a day, and practice every day, you'll get it. This is a lot of printing. I will give you that. But what I used to do is I used to print things out and then put it inside of of course I don't have one here with me right now. I would put my printout inside of a screen protector, or not a screen protector, a sheet protector, plastic sleeve, right? And that would allow me to grab an Expo marker, not a Sharpie like this is, but an Expo marker. And what I would do is just label everything, compare it to the answers, get a towel and erase it. Label everything, look at the answers, erase it. And the great thing is you only need one sleeve protector. Okay, this one's blue, I'll give you that. A white one's better, or clear one's better, right? But that's the way I did it. You can also draw over things. So in that way, it's a very quick, easy mechanism to study the names and the spellings of all these bones in the skull and the trunk of the body, which is called the what skeleton? I'll let you remember that yourself. Anyways, jumpstart, folks. The quiz will be next Sunday on the axial skeleton. I hope you're doing well. Stay dry, but enjoy the nice change in weather. Have a good one.